Welcome back to the Broker Power Up podcast, the AIME podcast for strategies, stories, and insights to help you close more loans. I'm Tommy Golightly, joined by Jonathon Haddad. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. We have a lot going on today. We have the Broker Buzz, where we dive into the top posts of the week from the Brokers Are Best Facebook group and discuss what's trending, what's working, and what you need to know. Then we'll go into the sales pitch training, where John helps us become better salespeople. And then we will wrap things up, as always, with the story time from John. But first, how we start every podcast, a fortune cookie. This week's fortune: new adventures will have excitement waiting for you.
You could start with that one.
So we're recording this in the past, obviously. You are in the future, and it's Monday right now. So the storm probably either upon us or has passed us. So we have a big snowstorm coming, obviously, for hitting most of the country. And so I'm thinking this has something to do with that, because right after we have the holiday party, and I'm taking an adventure up to Michigan. So it's either a Michigan adventure that's exciting and waiting for me, or some kind of snow blizzard thing.
Well, I'm already sitting in Michigan, so
Snow blizzard thing.
it's snowing today. It's Wednesday effectively right now. This will be showed on Monday, but it's coming down hard over here, so it'll be passed hopefully over here, and you're escaping it potentially.
Hopefully.
Hopefully we're gonna do that. But adventure wise, I'm thinking we have an event, Harry Potter World Mortgage Con at the end of not at the end of, yeah, at the end of this month. Wow, it's around the corner already. So I'm excited. I'm a big Harry Potter fan, so that'll be a lot of fun adventuring. I'm bringing my wife to that trip, so just being able to take her all around and just go experience that. It's a really cool opportunity just from an adventure standpoint. And the traveling's picking up like crazy now. It already starts usually coming into February. My travel schedule just skyrockets, and I'm excited for all the different adventures. And escaping the cold and heading to Orlando is definitely on the highest of priorities for me right now. We'll just put it that way.
Understandable. Here in Philly, we've been getting a lot of snow as well, but nothing close. Just cold and miserable.
It's
not wanting
freezing
to be outside. It is very cold.
But it's okay. It was like 7 degrees yesterday, and it said it felt like -8. Like, y'all, what does that even mean? It feels like -8.
Yeah. We checked the temperature this morning, and my wife decided to stay home. She was like, I'm not going on that.
No.
Fair enough. Well, let's dive into the broker buzz this week with our first question. On the FHA flip rule for the second appraisal, can the realtor pay the second appraisal fee? The realtor is representing the buyer and seller.
Okay, so here's the situation here. Have I seen it happen before? The answer is yes, I have. So the rule is this: the buyer cannot pay for the second appraisal on a flip. So generally speaking, what you want to do is negotiate this early and upfront. It's very important your realtor understands it. Generally speaking, I'm going to want the seller to cover that cost. And you are that agent specifically is an interested party. And that's one of the declaration questions, right? Is that so? If they're an interested party in the transaction, obviously they would want to pay for that appraisal, especially if they're the ones that are taking on both buy side and list side, meaning they're going to have the chance for a lot of commissions on this. I'm not saying it's not possible. What I am saying is I would very much so check with your lender, cross-reference as much as you can. Does the guideline specifically say an agent can't do it? No, it doesn't, but they are an interested party to earn money as part of this transaction. So I'd be very, very cautious and tread lightly. But the reality is, it's just a matter of managing expectations. Usually, the agents just don't mention it to the seller. I didn't know I had to pay for that. I'm not taking on this cost. You need to negotiate that upfront as part of the deal, especially if it's a flip. Just know what's going to happen. You should know the guidelines. If it's your first one, don't get me wrong. My first one too. I was like, what? What do you mean? And then you get thrown off. And as the LO, it's just a loss. You can't get that money back from a reimbursement perspective because the buyer cannot pay for it at any measure. So you just take the loss as a loan officer in the event that the loan, even if it does close, you're still losing that money as part of the deal. So you got to be very cautious here. If you're caught between a rock and a hard place, double check with the lender, get on the same page, but moving forward, manage those expectations early.
Absolutely. And our second question. Hi, Bab. PMI question. Conventional loan. Borrower is asking if they could put 10% down in 2 months, do a principal reduction of another 10% to remove PMI. They want to save the extra 0.125% in rate that comes with the PMI. I have been told in the past removing the PMI is not automatic, and some lenders require it to be in place for at least 12 months, even if the balance is paid down. What have you seen?
Yeah, so that is correct. It is going to be exactly that. They can't just pay it down. They have to ask, and the lender can still say no if they want to say no. It's in your guidelines. It's in your terms of agreement when you sign off on the document. Generally speaking, 1 to 2 years, depending on Fannie or Freddie, with who you're using. The other thing that I would look at too is see if they can do split mortgage insurance. So see if they can pay a lot of the difference up front. There's opportunity for that as part of this transaction. The other thing you would have to do is if they do say no, obviously potential refinance opportunity where you can take it off. But yeah, it's got to naturally amortize to either 78% loan to value or at 80% LTV, you can request for it to come off. If you're putting down an extra principal reduction, you're going to need to request for it to come off, but the lender has every right to say no to that situation. So look at paying the PMI upfront now. There's only 10% left. So there's basically you could pay a majority of that mortgage insurance upfront as additional cost. So you're paying off the insurance provider as part of this transaction. So I would look into that. Do not tell your clients, oh yeah, it'll work. Stay away from that at all costs. If any lender, loan officer says something of that nature, they are incorrect. And you're seeing a lot more of, you're seeing people push back a lot more often, especially if they're not understanding. The market's been volatile. So the housing market, right, it hasn't been skyrocketing as much as it was during 2020, 21, even part of 22. It's a lot more flat right now. So these investors aren't just jumping the gun to remove mortgage insurance. So pay attention, be on the lookout, understand the guidelines, protect yourself at all costs.
Yeah, that's something I learned because I just not knowing everything, obviously, or much. The I always thought it was like a certain threshold that you had to have. Other like PMI came into effect until you had a certain amount of equity in the house. But they're just different.
Yep.
It's different lender to lender, I'm assuming.
So Fannie and Freddie, it's pretty specific to them, and it changes not constantly anymore. But the PMI providers, yeah, they are alternating. There's like 5 or 6 major ones. There's a bunch of little small ones, but 5 or 6 major ones that are the big players in the game.
Gotcha. Cool. Learn something every time I do this podcast, but that's kind of the point, and hope people are learning with me. And our final question of the week. Really trying to speed up my process, but I have not found an easy plug and play system to compare refinances. What is everyone using right now? Right now, I'm using MBS Highway's Refi quote. And while it's good, it's a bit quirky. Not all loans work with it, and it's still taking a while. With that, how are people engaging and locking their clients? And what refi steps are you taking?
So MBS Highway works very, very well. They have a great tool for just breaking down options. One of the things I know you're saying it's quirky, but what I always would recommend is adding some sort of Loom video prior to you sending it to the client. Don't just send a PDF to the consumer without context, especially if there's a lot of numbers that are on it. So MBS Highway works great. If you're using Arrive as well, Arrive has the functionality for you to compare multiple different options. That's another good way, but always add your Loom video. So one of the things is analysis paralysis. What a lot of LOs do is they give a 20-year, a 30-year, or 15-year to a consumer. Stay away from that. Do a 30-year option and then do 2 options for them. Say, here are the 2 options that make the most sense for you and your family. I like this one more than this one because of X, Y, or Z. Between the 2 of them, which one makes the most sense for you and your family? So the first option I like to do, and I've learned this many, many years back, and it has served me very well. I like to do basically if I can do a 1/4 point to 3/8 drop with minimal cost rolled in, I love doing. And why do I love doing that? Because the market is so volatile that I just right now don't believe that doing a big buy down makes a lot of sense for a consumer, especially considering more than likely they're going to refinance again. So recouping that cost is going to take some time. Skipping a mortgage payment's a big deal, but I always make that my first option. My professional recommendation is we do this 3/8 of a point drop. We'll also lower your PMI because you've gained equity, and the more equity you have, the lesser the risk, which means that your PMI is going to go down. Your loan balance only goes up $2,000, which is rolled into your loan. So it's nothing out of your pocket. You're also going to skip a mortgage payment. That money you can keep in your pocket or apply directly towards your principal. If you are going to apply it directly towards your principal, I recommend bringing it to the closing table instead. And then I'll explain my reasoning in video, and I'll walk through that, what it looks like, all of that. And then I'll say option 2 is a slightly lower interest rate. And you could go with this option, but you got to make sure that you believe you're not going to refinance for at least 30 months, whatever the recoup is, right? So yes, you get a lower rate. Yes, your payment's slightly lower, but we're now rolling in roughly $4,000 to $5,000 in cost as part of this deal, which means that in order for you to recoup this, you have to be in this specific loan for X amount of time. If you believe that's you, and if you believe rates aren't going to drop, this makes the most sense. But in my professional recommendation, option 1 is what I like the most. Now, between these two options, which one do you believe is best for you and your family? You notice how I'm selling against?
Yeah, I like how you give 2 options, but again, I think it's very, very important to assert yourself as the professional. And
Correct.
so always coming in with in my professional opinion, because 9 times out of 10, I'm probably going to take the professional's opinion.
And that's the big point for me with this too, Tommy, is, and also just don't overcomplicate, right? Analysis
Yeah.
paralysis. Don't just send a PDF. You got to make sure you're on Loom or something where you're speaking, you're mapping things out, you're letting them see, you're using arrows. Make it as simple as humanly possible. And whether that's MBS Highway, whether that's Arrive, there's ways to do it within both systems. MBS Highway is incredibly detailed with its reporting, but it does work really well as long as you know how to explain that to your consumers.
Absolutely. Well, if you want your questions answered on the Broker Power Up podcast, be an AIME member, be in the Brokers Are Best Facebook group, and use the hashtag Broker Power Up, and we will get your question answered. If you are not, scan the QR code, go to our website, and become a member, and then ask your question. You can get it answered on the podcast. We'll be right back with some sales pitch training.
Are you a wholesale mortgage professional? Well, then the very first thing you need is a community to help you and your business grow. With AIME membership, your community is right here. Joining our community means never navigating the market alone or operating without a safety net ever again. We are 16,000 members strong of united wholesale professionals. From rookies to top-ranking originators, all dedicated to supporting each other's success so we can grow together. Beyond entry to the best community in the mortgage industry, AIME membership gives you the resources, tools, guidance, discounts, services, and support that help you and your wholesale business grow, thrive, and most importantly, close more loans. AIME membership connects you with leading wholesale lenders and vendors, offering you exclusive access, services, and discounts that save you more money while helping you make more money. Never get stuck on a loan again with our lender escalation program. Grow your network and skills with the wholesale industry's best conferences and networking events. Get the strategies and skills of top originators and industry innovators with AIME's cutting-edge wholesale mortgage education, resources, and content. AIME offers all of this and more, starting at a low price of $19.99 a month. You heard it here first, couple cups of Starbucks coffee. For you to learn more and get started, all you have to do is visit aimegroup.com, AIME group.com /membership. Your community is waiting.
And I'm waiting to become a better salesperson. John, what do you got?
So we did a past client webinar, and it was incredibly successful. So much of the community has been reaching out. we'll have the scripts uploaded here. You'll see them by this point, and you'll see the presentation as well. So with the way that I do scripting, right, I truly just immerse myself into the conversations, and I'm constantly role playing. It's just been something I've done for over a decade now, and it's served me very well. But y'all are going to get this PDF and get this document, and you're going to say, okay, how can I leverage this for it to be, more me, which is what you want, right? You want to take little tidbits from as many sales professionals as you can, and then you want to create it and make it your own. So here's what I would recommend that you do when it comes to the scripting that we're going to give you. Tom, if you can pull that up to the forefront here.
Sure.
So I'm going to show you how to do it. Really, really simple. I would role play this every morning, call it 10 minutes tops. So you're going to get my document past client sales system. From there, upload it into your GPT, Gemini, whatever it is that you're using, whatever helps you, whatever has your voice the most, whatever you use the most is what I would recommend you upload this to. So ask a simple question. Take this script and be a very difficult client, make it hard to convert, and ask me questions that I need to answer as a loan officer to earn your business. So what it'll do is it'll take my scripting, and then it's going to break it down and be as difficult as a client as you could possibly imagine. And at first, you might laugh a little bit at some of the responses. I encourage you not to laugh and to take it as seriously as you possibly can. That is, look, I have a wild imagination. I've been that way since I was a child. I've always just been over the top, imaginary friends, whatever you call it. I had it as a kid. My mom said my imagination was just always running. And so my challenge to all of you is to dive into that world and let yourself go from that perspective. Really envision you're speaking to the client, and you'll see what this thing pops up. It'll role play with you as a difficult client every step of the way, just like you see here with what's in front of us. So client says, hey, I'm actually in the middle of something. What's this about? Pause, respond to it accordingly. After your response, yeah, the house is fine. Mortgage is fine too. And this is following my script. Y'all will see it. You'll understand it. And ask yourself, how good is my response? What I would do is I'd hit this record button at the bottom right here and record your replies to each and every single one. And then ask GPT after you respond, hey, please critique this at the highest level possible. Do not be agreeable with me. Find more ways. Go ahead.
That's very important because by default,
yes,
ChatGPT will want to agree with you.
Correct. So you want to always tell, like, that's one of the things I always do. Be a difficult client. Do not agree with me, no matter how logically sound I might be. Do not agree with me. I tell it that.
Yeah.
Hey, am I selling too much on logic right now? Because the first call is always, you want it to be as emotional as possible. Build as much emotion and ask yourself, am I have too much emotion, too little emotion? But you can see how simple this is. Hard stops, time pressure, final objections, your turn, and all of this started with a very simple prompt. You can do this every single day. And I would also encourage you, do what I do, record yourself on these calls, right? And then transcribe them, redact PII information before you upload anything. So if, client social names, things like that, just redact that information. Keep it out completely to protect yourself at all costs and protect your consumer is obviously the most important thing. But this way, you're just transcribing. We were doing this stuff in retail back in 2016, almost 10 years ago. So now's your chance. You have the chance to catch up for pennies on the dollar with all these different tools and resources that you have. But this is the sales tip for today. We wanted to keep it short and sweet. And plus, when y'all get this, everything will be uploaded into the portal. And I would highly recommend you do it this way. But you'll see it. This is designed to expose weak framing, over-explaining, defensive tone, missed emotional anchors. You'll catch everything. So try it, leverage it. Let us know what you think when you do it.
Yeah, this will be available to AIME members in the AIME member portal under the resources tab. Cool. Awesome. That's very exciting. I think that's such a good thing. Like, if you had to do that before ChatGPT, you would need to have people, like someone there with you to do it.
That's what we did. That's exactly what we did. I mean, now, I worked in an environment where we had thousands of loan officers, and what we would do is I would just call somebody. Yeah. So I would go in a different office. And by the way, I still recommend this. Call your friend and have them tear you apart. I can be the best worst client ever. I know we all can. We've dealt with some clients like that. That's another tip too, is role play with somebody and then you can transcribe that one live. That's a ton of fun to do. And there's people out there that are willing to do it. Everyone's trying to learn and grow.
Absolutely. All right. Well, I hear you have a story for us.
I do. I do. So my grandmother passed away, and beautiful soul, like one of the best human beings you could have ever met. And her story is it's a tragic one, triumphant one. There's just so many things that happened in this woman's life. So she was born in 1946 in Palestine, and at a very young age, her father was killed, her grandfather was killed, and there's just a lot of war in that area, and it's been back and forth now for many millennias. And that's just how it is back home. But as part of that journey growing up back home, there was a lot of things that she had to deal with. She had to grow up in an orphanage because her mother wasn't allowed to remarry. Basically, a lot of rights were stripped from women during that time. And so it was a really rough upbringing. She's lost so many different people. And I remember growing up and my grandma would tell me all these stories, and she would always laugh as she was telling these stories. And she would always say this word to me. She would always say it in Arabic, but she would always say, "So what?" So what? And that never left her side. There was a time not long ago where my grandma got in a terrible car accident. Her car flipped. It was crazy. We were all so scared, so nervous. And then we're going to the hospital to see her. She was able to get out of it okay. And we go into the hospital. As we walk in, my grandma's laughing. Teta is grandmother in Arabic for my side. But we'd walk in and Teta's just got a smile on her face and she's laughing. And she would say, "Oh, so what? So what, Teta? I'm still alive. I made it." And we would always laugh about that. And there was this time when I was about 5 or 6 years old. And I remember coming home from school, and I was coming home from, I think, kindergarten or first grade. And as I'm walking in, a wasp comes into the house. And as this wasp comes into the house, I start crying. Like, I remember vividly crying, freaking out. My grandma's, "What's going on? What's going on?" She's talking to me. I'm like, there's a bee. I'm calling it a bee, a bee, a bee. And she goes, What happened? Did it sting you?" I said, "No." She's like, "It didn't sting you?" I said, "No, it didn't sting me yet." So she goes and takes care of this wasp. And she looks at me and she says, "Don't let the little things scare you. Just so what? So
I love that.
what?" And there was many other times in my life where, I totaled my car, and, when it rains, it pours, things happen in three. And I remember feeling so sorry for myself and so upset. And I remember this one time where I had to pick between going back to college or going into the mortgage industry. Somebody offered me a job in mortgages many, many moons ago. And I was like, "Oh gosh, I should go to college. I should do this." And my grandma, I tell her the story and she looks at me and she says, "So what? So what if you don't go to college? Go try this. College will be there." But my grandma always lived by this "so what" mentality. And there's a lot of people in this world, some people call me, they say, "John, you're robotic," or "You act a certain way." And they think I got it from the male side of my family in the Middle Eastern culture, right? There's that male just, here we go. We're going to do everything. And I'm sure y'all have seen it. You know what I'm talking about. But for me, it's actually from my grandmother. She is the most dialed in, unshakable faith human being you will ever meet. Through all her tragedy, she always found a way to find the glory, and she never quit. She refused to quit until the very end, and she ended up going peacefully, thank God. There was a lot of things that she dealt with, but on her way out, she ended up suffering from frontal lobe dementia, and she would start to forget things. But even every time, and I get a little emotional telling it, but she would come back too pretty quickly. At the time, we didn't see her progress, so we were very fortunate in that. We believe, my family and I. But she would come back sometimes. She would forget like my kids' names, and she'd look at me. She goes, "Oh God." She'd start laughing, and she'd go, "Oh God, I'm losing my brain." That's what she would say. And she would say, "Oh, so what? It's okay. I don't want to remember anything She'd say, "I don't want to remember everything anyway." But I challenge each and every single one of you to live with the "so what" mentality. I'm not saying life isn't hard. I'm not saying that things don't happen to you that are not impactful. But I'm telling you right now, there's opportunities for you to continue to press forward, especially for those of us. I'm fortunate I was born in this country. And there's some of our community right now that weren't born in this country, yet here they are making it and still finding a way to proceed forward. I'm first generation, first one born in this country. And that has to do with all the sacrifices my grandmother made for me. So when you don't think you can dig deeper and you can't move anymore and you can't push forward, yes, you can. So what? Go figure it out. You will. You're a lot stronger than you give yourself credit for. You have a bigger purpose than you could even imagine. And it all starts by continuing to press forward and say, so what, when you want to quit. And so what? Keep moving forward. So what? Whatever happens to interest rates. So what? Whatever happens. You are capable and willing to deal with anything and everything. Trust that about yourself, my friends. So what? Have yourselves a beautiful day.
I love that. And I did just want to say that we'd talked obviously earlier this week
Yeah,
about similar things, and I heard the so what and don't mind the little things. There's been a handful of times this week where don't mind the little things have popped into my head, and I've just been a little more smiley this week than usual, just because I'm able to brush them off and don't mind the little things. So what? Of
I appreciate you. Thanks for sharing that. It means
course.
a lot. No, you've been great, and the team's been great, and everyone that keeps checking in on me. Thank y'all so much for checking in. But I posted, and I truly mean this. She would be so mad if I started sulking. She would be livid at
I
me.
yes, yes,
And I just,
totally understand.
this woman was tough as nails, but had the biggest heart. But she would be, and people are like, are you really good? Like, no, it's my grandmother, like I'm not really good, but I'm going, like this is what I posted. Hey, you now get to watch over me live my wildest dreams because of the sacrifices that you made. And I mean that to the deepest part of my core. I'm not screwing this up at this point. Whatever time God has allotted me is what I'm going to make out of this life. And a lot of it has to do with her. So I appreciate all the love and support.
I love it. And thank you, listener, for tuning into this episode of the Broker Power Up podcast. If you found today's tips helpful, do us a favor, hit the like button to let us know you enjoyed it, which helps even more people see this content. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, ring the bell to get notified every time we drop new content, and share this video with a fellow broker who could use a power up. Remember to lead by example, to lift each other up, to grow together, and most importantly, close more loans. Until next time, keep powering up.